again, and welcome back to Myths of Mischief, my fabulous friends. Last year, when Agatha All Along premiered, I wrote a ridiculously long document about the tarot card designs that Marvel released for the show. If you are a fan of Screen Crush or a bit of everything, you might have even caught one of my shoutouts. Those totally made my month. In honor of the year anniversary of the show, your Lore Monger is diving deep into the artistic symbolism behind each card. I'm going to explain how they relate to the original Rider-Waite tarot deck while showing how Marvel reimagined them for the MCU. The show features 7 cards in total, 6 representing the individual characters, and 1 representing the coven as a whole. The creative process behind these cards is fascinating. I even caught a Marvel podcast where the artists got to talk about their work, and I will be sharing a few details that I learned. The coolest part is that Lilia designed the deck based on her visions. You can even see her signature on the cards. Before I get started, if you would like to support The Mischief, please check out our Patreon or visit the Mischief Market, our merch shop. We've got stickers, mugs, shirts, keychains, and more. You will get 10% off your first order of $10 or more until the end of 2025. Let's start with the back of the deck, which clearly represents Agatha's coven. The design features 2 interlocking triangles, which is known in some traditions as the blade and chalice. They represent the merging of opposites, masculine and feminine, earth and air, light and dark, etc. When placed in symmetry, those triangles form what we recognize as the Star of David, which originally came from celestial worship and cosmic symbolism. Some interpretations even link the 6 points to the original planets known in ancient astronomy. The upward-facing triangle, the blade, is tied to masculinity and assertion, and that could definitely symbolize Billy, who is the only male in the coven. Drawn over this triangle is a ring of moon phases. Now, since Billy never officially joined a coven, this could represent his initiation and growth alongside Agatha. Also, remember that each trial in the show correlated with a phase of the moon. The crescent moon at the top actually adds more mystery. The downward triangle, the chalice, symbolizes the divine feminine and more nurturing qualities. It has been linked to symbols like the Holy Grail, Caradwyn's cauldron, and even the female womb. The direction in which the crescent moon is facing, though, makes a huge difference in how we interpret it. A waxing crescent would symbolize new beginnings and fresh starts, like Agatha's rediscovery of herself beyond being the covenless witch. And a waning crescent reflects rest, healing, and surrender, which kind of echoes the trials that the coven faces throughout the show. From here, I'm following the order in which Lilia called out the cards during the show, not the order they appeared in her reading. The 3 of Pentacles represents teamwork, dedication, and building something greater together. It's about collaboration and the effort required to reach a shared vision. While Marvel's version keeps the same core layout as the Rider-Waite card, there are some important changes. In the original version, there is a Doric column in the center, which symbolizes strength and durability. Marvel replaces that with a Solomonic spiral, representing spiritual growth and enlightenment. The spiral evokes awareness through trial, which makes sense. Now let's look at the circle of figures. On the original card, you see a craftsman working before a nobleman and a priest, which represents 3 men as masters of their position and cooperation between them. In Marvel's version, Agatha's coven is forming a circle around the pillar, with their hands joined, kind of like the scene in episode 2 where they sang together. But there's a very large change. Rio, not Sharon, is standing in the circle. If you remember, Sharon didn't survive the first trial, so Rio stepped into her place as the Green Witch. Billy also appears in this circle, which surprised me at first since Agatha hesitated to claim him as part of the coven. But now we know that it's because Billy actually manifested the witch's road himself. Another point to note is the color of the witch's clothing. Each witch's color reflects their trial, except for Jen, who wears pink, and Billy, who wears blue. At first, I thought Billy's blue referenced Jen's potion trial, because he became the final ingredient, but the artist actually confirmed that it does reference his Wiccan costume. The arch is the last major difference in this one. In traditional tarot, the arch represents a doorway between realms. In the original, it is a smooth cathedral arch that symbolizes the link between the earthly and the divine. Marvel's arch is pointed and made of brick, symbolizing strength and endurance. Theirs also requires what's called a keystone, a central piece that holds it all together. If you look closely, Agatha and Rio are positioned directly beneath the keystone, kind of molded into the center pillar, foreshadowing that their relationship was the heart of the story the whole time. The next card that Lilia mentioned was the High Priestess, which she saw when she encountered Jennifer at Agatha's house. Some fans believed that Lilia invoked this card because Jennifer once held the title of High Priestess. We know now that seeing Jen triggered a psychic echo in Lilia, and as we learn later, Lilia's visions were far more layered than they appeared. During Lilia's trial, she even said that Jen was the path forward, which makes a lot of sense considering that Jen embodies rebirth and the life that follows loss. Plus, what was Jen's profession again? Oh right, obstetrics. Interesting. On the original card, the High Priestess sits between two pillars leading to Solomon's Temple. Joaquin for establishment and Boaz for strength. They balance opposites, and the High Priestess is the mediator. Marvel replaced these pillars with flaming torches, also used in Greek and Roman art. A torch pointing upward symbolizes truth and regeneration through fire. Jen's story fits this rather perfectly. She's a healer, facing a harsh truth and reconnecting with her origins. The torches could also represent her comic roots as the descendant of Atlantean sorcery. In the Rider-Waite version, you'll notice that there are pomegranates in the background. They symbolize ambition, wisdom, and rebirth, all ideas that are echoed in many cultures. In modern Turkey, families still break open pomegranates on New Year's Eve for prosperity. In Marvel's version of this card, those fruits became rays of light radiating from Jen's crown, marking her as a divine power. This is yet another reference to ancient Greek artwork where rays around someone's head symbolize divinity or supernatural power. Finally, the scroll in the Rider-Waite version reads Torah, representing divine law and hidden knowledge. In Marvel's card, the scroll reads Potion, directly referencing Jen's craft. Her work with plants and minerals demands precision and balance. Each ingredient can heal or harm depending on the intent. Jennifer Kale is the gatekeeper of practical, earth-based wisdom. Her connection to the natural world and the spiritual world makes her a living embodiment of divine law. After the witches escaped Alice's trial, they had to heal Billy, who had a glass shard lodged in his stomach. While Agatha, Jen, and Alice panicked, Lilia randomly said 3 of Swords, which was pretty typical for her. The 3 of Swords represents rejection, betrayal, and emotional pain, which kind of fits the situation perfectly. The Marvel version shares the heart pierced by swords, but other than that, it diverges a lot. Agatha herself appears on this card, wearing a dark purple dress patterned with small 4-petaled flowers. If you invert the color scheme, these flowers resemble the Dame's rocket. What's interesting about the Dame's rocket is that it symbolizes feminine independence, but it is also called the flower of deceit because it has a cinnamon fragrance, but only in the evening. The dress's style also matches the one that Agatha wore when her coven put her on trial for using dark magic. The pose on this card is very telling though. She's extending empty hands as if reaching to hold something. Many thought this represented her once holding Nikki, who is now gone, but to me it always looked like the posture Agatha had when she was placing Billy on the stone for Jen to heal him. Agatha is also wearing a golden circlet in this card, referencing the laurel wreaths of ancient Greece, which was a symbol of victory and divine favor. Now this could be referencing her past triumphs, like mastering the Darkhold, or her lineage as the last witch of Salem. In the background, the trees twist like those on the Witch's Road, their roots very visible above the soil. They remind me of Agatha's summoning spell, supra, infra, entra, extra, meaning above, below, inside, outside. Considering that a tree can only grow as tall as the roots are deep, this could symbolize that Agatha has a bond to her magic because it is something that nourishes her but also binds her. Finally, on this card, Agatha is standing on Billy's manifestation of the road, surrounded by purple leaves. Purple is the color of spirit. It sits at the top of the pentacle. Spirit connects all living things, and it was the foundation of Agatha's power. Alice's power came from anger, Lilia's from wisdom, Jen's from her ancient blood, and Billy's from his strength. But Agatha's power came from her life force. This could explain why she was able to absorb energy from other witches during combat, because her life force was stronger than theirs. It might also be the reason that she was immortal. Alice's card, the Knight of Wands, features Red Rocks Park and Amphitheater in Colorado. Lilia mentioned this card when Agatha was draining Alice's magic and taking her life force. The card represents a brave, rebellious hero, somebody who's ready to spark change. In episode 5, Alice defended Agatha even when it put her in danger. That moment showed how deep Alice's loyalty ran and how much she would risk to protect those she cared about. So this card feels like a perfect snapshot of her little story. On her card, Alice is posed defensively, as if bracing against something coming towards her. Her weight rests on her back foot, ready to absorb impact. This stance mirrors how she used her magic to push Evanora out of Agatha during the confrontation. If you compare that with the Seven of Wands card, you'll see both figures in defensive stances, but there's very different energy. In the Seven of Wands, the man seems tentative, holding his ground under pressure, where Alice, by contrast, is seen as more confident and poised. Above Alice's head on the card sits a crest shaped like the demon that has haunted her family for generations. The red coat of arms evokes a warrior or martyr. It's very fitting for Alice, who carried that burden of protection. The golden filigree bordering the crest features acanthus leaves, which are symbols tied to artistic love. That detail could be a nod to her musical roots, her mother's legacy, and her innate connection to magic. The crest also depicts an animal of some kind, maybe a crowned owl or raven. In demonology, Stolas, the great prince of hell, is often shown as a crowned owl. That reference might link to the curse and demons that were tied to her bloodline. Near the top of the card, there's a small jackal. Now, jackals represent intelligence, cunning, and protection in both Egyptian and Chinese mythologies. So the jackal could signify Alice's protective instincts and her struggle with the curse as a warding witch. In Chinese culture, there's a dragon named Yazi. He's actually a dragon-jackal hybrid who's known for his protective nature and his fierce aggression. Just like Yazi, Alice shows an unwavering readiness to fight, often using her anger to push past the pain from her mother's loss. Rest in peace, dear Alice. In tarot, the Tower card is often linked with fear and destruction, but really it's about transformation. Just like the Death card does not necessarily mean physical death, the Tower actually refers to how breaking down walls can lead to new growth. When the Tower is reversed, the meaning changes. It still holds power, but now it suggests disasters that have been delayed or avoided. As Lilia said during her trial, though, it brings miraculous transformation when heeded. Episode 6 gave us an inside look at William Kaplan's life before he became Billy Maximoff. We saw that William met Lilia at his bar mitzvah, and she was the one that placed the sigil on him. While reading his palm, Lilia whispered the Tower reversed, which definitely captured the essence of Billy's journey. When Wanda's hex over Westview disintegrated, the ripple effect extended far beyond the town. Billy's soul entered William's body after a car crash triggered by the hex's collapse. The external chaos that was caused by Wanda's magic led to internal destruction for William. Breakdown of his old life was hidden but traumatic. In the classic tarot card, we see a king and queen falling. They are symbols of the chaos that comes with sudden change. Marvel's version shows two boys falling, both wearing identical headbands. The dark-haired boy is clearly Billy Kaplan. The light-haired boy likely represents Tommy Shepard. While Tommy didn't have white hair in Multiverse of Madness, the card's image actually matches his comic book design. The boys falling in this version could symbolize the trauma of their existence being created and torn apart by forces they never controlled. At the top of the tower, a crown tumbles down, marking the fall of a once powerful figure. A lightning bolt strikes, showing that no one is immune to forces bigger than themselves, and in Billy's case, a crown actually formed on his head. The sigil that once masked his true lineage faded away, and the newly formed crown stood for his reclaimed power and identity. That moment signaled him reclaiming control. He no longer remained bound by a sigil that erased him. The blue hue of the crown was a nod to Wiccan's classic costume in the comics and echoes the headband that Billy wears throughout the show. One last interesting difference can be seen at the bases of both towers. In the original tarot, the tower's base is solid and immovable. It's a symbol of finality, that hard stop ending with no going back. But Marvel's version has stalagmites creeping up the sides, showing that even in the midst of chaos, there can be growth. It also gives me very strong Wundagore vibes. The Queen of Cups card caused a lot of confusion because it looks more like the Four of Wands than the Queen of Cups. This card stands for emotional balance, compassion, and deep intuition. She guides others to reflect on their feelings using empathy and care. The Four of Wands focuses on themes of celebration, stability, and harmony, often tied to home and unity. The overlap between these cards explains Lilia's personality in the series. In the comics, Lilia is the witch queen of the gypsies and the protector of the Book of Cagliostro. She's also the one who received the prophecy about Wanda directly from Chthon. The addition of the castle to the Queen of Cups card, while not traditional, makes sense when you think about Lilia's connection to time. Her role as a traveler leaves her constantly searching for stability and a stronger sense of identity. Her ties to her coven in the Carpathian Mountains are what link her to her traditions. There, Lilia lived in Castle Rusoff alongside Margalie Sardos and Maria Rusoff. The hallucination where her younger self guides her, along with her sudden switch to speaking Italian, both bring her back to her European roots. In the traditional Queen of Cups card, the figure is seated on a throne by the sea, gazing at a chalice adorned with angels. She is someone who helps others process their emotions and experiences. But Marvel's chalice is different from the traditional depiction. It's simpler, resembling clay or wood, and it reflects Lilia's humble beginnings. In episode 7, she actually uses that cup with her maestra during their tea leaf reading. Rest in peace, Lady Lilia. At last, we come to the Death card, the original Green Witch. This card is not so much a symbol of literal death than of transformation. She marks the ending of one chapter and the start of another. Death reminds us that sometimes we have to let go of the past to move forward. In traditional tarot, Death is shown riding a white horse bearing a black flag with a single white rose. The rose represents rebirth and purification, suggesting that endings carry the seeds of new beginnings. The skeletal figure reminds us of mortality, while the armor offers a paradoxical form of invincibility. The white horse stands for purity, and the figures falling beneath it, drawn from all walks of life, emphasize that death does not discriminate. Death comes for us all. In Marvel's version, Death holds a knife in one hand, mirroring the blade that Rio carried. Knives in symbolic art often represent both harm and clarity. They are tools that cut through illusion to enable transformation. In Witchcraft, certain knives have certain ritual purposes. Rio's knife looks like a sickle, the kind used to harvest herbs, suggesting her role as a gatherer of souls. In episode 8, she actually used that knife to break free from Billy's hex. In her other hand, Rio holds a black heart composed of petals and plant parts. We actually see this flower a few times in the show, like in the flashback when Nicholas was born. I love how the heart flower ties into her line about her heart being black but beating for Agatha. Her name, Rio Vidal, means river of life. This also explains her dual nature. Rivers symbolize the boundary between worlds. As the personification of death, Rio is the one who guides souls through the veil. Rio's complex relationship with Agatha reveals even more layers. Their history goes back to before Nicholas was even born, and despite knowing that his death was certain, Rio tried to give Agatha more time with Nicholas. When Nicholas unfortunately passed, Agatha then rejected Rio and their bond fractured. This resentment stemmed from Rio's role as Death, even though she had often bent the rules of her power to help Agatha. These moments illustrate her struggle, where her good intentions often came with unintended consequences. Now back to the roses on both cards. In traditional tarot, the white rose on the black flag stands for harmony born of endings. Roses also carry magic, symbolizing both beauty and defense. In Marvel's version, red roses are literally blooming around death. These roses speak of passion, transformation, and the bittersweet nature of endings. They are actually the same roses as those on the Magician card, reinforcing the idea that endings are also beginnings. Rio's connection to death and transformation is woven throughout her character. She is both a protector of life and a harbinger of change. Her black wedding dress, torn to reveal her bones, captures this contradiction. The rips hint at her broken bond with Agatha, who defied mortality and then rejected Rio's love. And there you have it, my friends. That wraps up all of the cards from the show. Each of these cards captures the witch it represents with such care, showing how their power, their trauma, and their choices intertwine to shape their stories. I do believe the actual tarot cards might be available for purchase. Do not quote me on that, but still, it is a stunning piece of art and symbolism that was clearly created with a lot of thought. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this super special deep dive. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss an adventure.